Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Quentin and you're watching Mid-South Outdoor Life. This channel is dedicated to creating content all about living an active and outdoor lifestyle. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and give you a full disclosure by telling you I am not a camping expert, I am not a tent expert. So if you want to get your tent reviews from the type of guy who has scaled Everest or spends weeks in the jungle without a shower and a shave, I'm not that guy. I'm your average Joe that works throughout the week and occasionally does some camping. That being said, I don't even like camping. In fact, I hate messing with the tent. Or in the words of the Grinch, I loathe messing with the tent. There's so many things I dislike about it. However, this tent, the KAMP RITE Tent Cot, has eliminated at least half of the super annoying things that I don't like about tent camping. In my opinion, the time savings alone are enough reason to choose a tent cot style of tent versus a traditional style of tent. I can set this tent up from start to finish in less than 3 minutes on any surface in just about any amount of space, and likewise I can tear it down and pack it away in less than 3 minutes. That's a really big deal for me because to me, time is our most valuable asset. It's something that we can't get back and it's something that we really can't buy more of. So why do I want to spend it not only setting up a tent or tearing down a tent, but how about that cleanup that normally goes with a normal tent after camping? You know, when you tear down the camp and there's leaves and dirt and all kinds of crud stuck to the bottom of the tent. So when you get home, you got to break it back out and clean all that up and dry it all out. Who has time for that crap? Not me, I don't. But this thing helps to eliminate that, and I'll show you that a little bit later in the video. Okay, so I don't want to bore you guys by reading out like the dimensions and the obvious specs that you could get on any of the websites where it's for sale, or the box if you're looking at it in a big box store. And there's other videos that have already covered that. What I am going to do is I'm going to point out some of the neat little things that might not be so obvious if you're unfamiliar with this style of tent. First of all, I bet you watched that box on the side of the screen and noticed that I was able to set this thing up by myself in less than 2 minutes with no drama. I didn't throw anything or even cuss. And that's pretty cool because generally for me, setting up a tent involves both of those other things. Anyway, that aside, this is the oversized version of the tent, not to be confused with the double tent cot, but this is the oversized. It's got a little bit more roof than the original tent cot. That's important to me because I can actually sit in here and sit upright without feeling extremely cramped. One of my absolute favorite things about a tent cot style of tent is this, the separation from the tent to the earth. That's cool because the moisture that's always evaporating from the earth is not going to collect on the bottom of the tent. That's going to help you to sleep more comfortably, but even better, it's going to keep the tent cleaner. It's not going to be full of mud and leaves and pine needles and all that usual stuff at the end of your trip. You might have a little bit of dirt on the legs themselves, but who cares about that? I'm not going to have to break this thing back out when I get home and clean it up and waste my otherwise valuable time. So the fact that it's lifted off the ground, big plus. One of the other really neat but not so obvious things about these tent cots is the way you access them. They have doors on all 4 sides, so no matter how you set up your camp or whatever changes might happen during your trip, it doesn't matter. You've got easy access from all 4 sides. And getting, even though these things look small, getting in and out of these tent cots, really, really easy. One of my absolute favorite things about a tent cot style of tent is the fact that it's so easy to use right on my boat. Sure, there are many times in which I'll camp on an island, but for the most part, I really like the convenience and the safety of actually camping on my boat. When you're out in the middle of the Mississippi River, miles from the nearest hospital, the last thing you want is a water moccasin getting in your tent with you. And I find that there's far less creepy crawlies on the boat than there are on the bank. So to me, it's really nice to be able to just pull into some nice, safe, protected water, put out the anchor, you know, get out the grill, have some dinner, and whenever I start feeling tired, throw the tent cot on the bow of the boat, dim the lights, and catch some sleep. When I wake up in the morning, 2 minutes of tear down, this thing's tucked away, and I'm right back to fishing before the sun ever comes up. That's not an option with a traditional tent. A traditional tent really needs to be staked down. Even if you did have a design that didn't need to be staked down, it'd probably be so small and cramped you wouldn't want to sleep in it. Furthermore, once you got out of it, any type of tent that's not going to need to be staked down is probably going to blow away, whereas the tent cot has a little bit of mass. It's not going anywhere, and it doesn't need to be staked down. I can just throw it out on the bow of the boat and not worry about it. Big plus in my opinion. So you might be wondering, just exactly how roomy is a tent cot once you're inside? Well, to give you a point of reference, I'm just over 6 feet tall and I weigh about 210 pounds, and I'm sitting inside the tent cot with a little bit of room around my head. You know, I'm not totally cramped up. I could actually probably scoot back and forth a couple feet and still not be pressed against the roof. Beyond the headroom, these things are 8 feet long. Do a little quick math on that. That means you got 2 foot to spare lengthwise to keep some gear. So the way I like to do it is I'll actually have my my overnight bag. You know, I usually have like a backpack full of clothes, maybe even some rain gear that I'll throw inside here, because if I get up in the morning and it happens to be raining, I can already be geared up for whatever the weather is before I step out of this thing. I mean, check it out. I'll lay down. See my feet. Feet are just right at the end, and lay down. And look at all that room back there. That's where I put my my backpack with all my gear for the night. I mean, put this over at the other end. Not too bad. I mean, it's no king size bed, but I'm on the front of a pontoon. Can't be too choosy. I suspect that some of you are probably going to want to know, what are the negatives to a tent cot style of tent? So I'll give you those too. First one is portability. There's virtually no portability with this tent, really. I mean, if you're wanting to load up in a backpack and get to some clandestine locale to do your camping, this is not the tent for you. But for a fisherman like myself, who generally uses a boat or an ATV to get where I want to go, that's not an issue, because it's not super heavy and it's not super huge. It's just not backpack worthy. Next would be the next thing would be condensation. You know, that moisture that builds up inside the tent throughout the night. That's definitely an issue with this tent. I think that's an issue with most tents though, but like I said in the beginning of this video, I'm no tent expert, so maybe there are tents out there that don't have that issue. But I can tell you that with this type of tent cot, the breath and I guess, you know, some of your perspiration, it's going to build up on the roof of the tent if you don't keep your vents open pretty well. For the most part, I'll keep vents open on all 4 corners, even when it's cold outside. I've got a decent sleeping bag, so keeping those vents open in the cold weather hasn't been an issue for me. But if you get really cold really easy, I don't know, that condensation might be a little bit of an issue for you. And really, to be honest, that's the only 2 negatives. You know, other than just the fact that it's not as comfortable as your bed at home, that's really the only 2 negatives that I can come up with for a tent cot style of tent. And that's not too much to complain about. Maybe the price would be one. They're not cheap. Depending on when and where you buy one of these, it's going to run you between, let's say, $129 and $199. So there's a big variance there. Not sure why. But yeah, they're not the cheapest thing, so you could call that a negative. But other than that, I would give a tent cot style of tent a really high rating over any other traditional tent. Another thing I didn't show, there's a rain fly that goes with one of these. We rarely ever use them unless the chance of rain is somewhat considerable. But there is one that comes with it, and it seems to keep it quite dry. If you guys have any other questions or comments that you'd like to voice, hit the comment section down below. If you know of another tent cot that you think is better than the KAMP RITE tent cot, put that down there, man. If you guys have tried the Ozark Trail one and you think it's worth taking a look at, let me know in the comment section. I read all my comments and I respond to most of them. Guys, like I mentioned earlier, I do lots of content all about living an active outdoor lifestyle, dirt biking videos, fishing videos, truck reviews, all kinds of stuff. So, you know, check out some other videos on the channel and subscribe if you like what you see. Thanks for watching.